Who's afraid of the big, bad Stephanie Jones? That's what we're going to be getting into today. So Stephanie Jones, come to the front, please, because we're going to be discussing you and only you today. Because how did we get here in the court of It Ends With Never? With Stephanie motherfucking Jones. So grab your emotional support lip gloss because we are getting into it. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. Now, at first, I'm not going to lie. I thought maybe, Stephanie Jones and everything that happened with It Ends With Us and Jennifer Abel leaving and Wayfarer leaving as their client, maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe that was just something that made her snap. And that's why she did everything that she did with Vanzan. Yes, we're going to keep saying it on this channel, Vanzan. But then the more I looked into Stephanie Jones, I realized that no, she is just really, number one, a horrible boss, toxic AF, and absolutely deranged that will do anything to win. A lot of things that I feel like has gotten not talked about enough is Stephanie motherfucking Jones. And Stephanie motherfucking Jones, serving subpoenas to Pinterest and Meta now on August 11th. So just exactly a month ago, served a motion to compel. How this all started, why it started. She's saying that there was a smear campaign against her too. She's also brought in the Wayfarer people when it comes to the smear campaign. And I think she's just gotten off really a little bit too easy, in my opinion. And it really all just started from, her own actions, being a horrible boss. I think she drove people to the point of breaking. And why I want to talk about this today is because of this article that we went over on September 4th about Rebel Wilson and Jen Abel and Jed Wallace and oh my gosh. But Variety actually updated their website and updated this article. When it was originally published, it had just said that they found out who created this website and that it was an ex-employee of Miss Stephanie Jones. But now the employee that they said, Courtney Angle, who apparently was reported to have created this website, has now came off and said that actually she was kind of framed for it and she never created the website. The lawyers for Angle say that her client's name, so Miss Courtney Angle's name, was used as a misdirect by an anonymous party, which is wild. But her lawyers go on to say Miss Angle's identity was stolen and used to create the website. She made clear under penalty of perjury that she did not design, register, contribute any content to or have any part in the creation of the website. Instead, an unknown person fraudulently and criminally used Miss Angle's name, as well as other publicly available information, along with an email address that does not belong to Miss Courtney Angle, to register and create the website. Far from having had anything to do with the creation or content of the website, Miss Angle is in fact the victim of a serious crime given the fraudulent use of her identity in this manner. Wow. So who created the website? Well, in her little subpoenas here to Facebook and Meta and Pinterest, so it's Meta platform, so it includes Facebook and Pinterest, I found some very interesting things. So I went back to the very first filing in the United States District Court of California, the Northern District, just to read up a little bit on these subpoenas. And I'm just going to read you a few things that I thought was quite interesting. So this was the very first subpoena to the Meta platforms and Pinterest. They do say that they were trying to meet and confer. However, they weren't able to come to any kind of resolution. Specifically, the respondents being Meta, state that they will not comply with the subpoena seeking the subscriber information for a user account absent a court order directing compliance. This is where it gets a little bit interesting here, just in the introduction part of it. So they do state whether this court should enforce petitioner's subpoena to third parties Meta and Pinterest, which seek limited and specific subscriber information about Facebook and Pinterest accounts related to petitioner's claim in an underlying lawsuit pending in the United States District of Southern New York. Petitioner Stephanie Jones and JonesWorks LLC are the victims of a coordinated, multi-pronged smear campaign falsely portraying Jones as someone who would betray her client's trust and publicly leak their information to further her own interest. This is completely false, and this campaign has been damaging to Jones and her business. As part of this defamation campaign, individuals whose true identities are unknown to petitioners created multiple defamatory websites, Stephanie Jones Lies and Stephanie Jones Leaks. Both have been taken down now. And social media accounts promoting those websites, including a Facebook account named under the name Stephanie Jones and a Pinterest account with the username Stephanie Jones Leaks. The bio for the Facebook account falsely states Stephanie Jones serves legal letters based on trumped up claims. She resorts to threats, both personal and professional. The bio for the Pinterest account falsely states Stephanie Jones is known to leak information about her clients to the press so that she can save the day for them and inspire their gratitude. Both the Facebook and Pinterest accounts share a logo with the link to a website called Stephanie Jones Leaks. I thought this was kind of interesting because the way that she's like saves the day, she's saying that it's like defamatory. But when we get into a little bit of the text messages that we're just going to review again from Wayfarer, she does have that kind of like, let me save the day attitude, but I digress. Anyway, let's keep it moving. The Facebook account was also linked to the Pinterest account and a YouTube account with the same username, Stephanie Jones Leaks. These interconnected websites and social media accounts were created in a coordinated campaign to defame Jones and her business. The social media accounts and other defamatory websites and accounts appeared during May 2024. That's important. May 2024. Around that time and in the subsequent months, Jones's former employee, Jennifer Abel, with the apparent assistance of Melissa Nathan from the agency group PR, was secretly working against Jones and JonesWorks while she planned to open her own competing PR business. Two non-parties, Brianna Butler-Kozlow and Catherine Case, who we know all too well because they have been fighting subpoenas. They have been fighting the subpoenas. Also served vague objections to that subpoenas from Stephanie Jones, which seek only information regarding who created the false and abusive Facebook and Pinterest accounts, and by extension, the websites called for their personal information. This could only conceivably be the case if their personal information were linked to the accounts requested by the subpoena. Ms. Kozlow and Ms. Case are or have been the employees of the agency group PR, a public relations agency run by Melissa Nathan, a party in the underlying suit who has denied knowledge of who created the public profiles or websites. A public relations agency run by Melissa Nathan, a party in the underlying suit who has denied knowledge of who created the profiles or websites. Ms. Case was an employee of JonesWorks prior to being hired by the agency group PR. Counsel from Ms. Butler and Ms. Case would have not confirm or deny whether they created the profiles and websites. So, I mean, maybe if they just said, like, no, it wasn't us, like, you know, but they seem to be hiding the information. Plaintiff Stephanie Jones is a highly respected public relations expert who focuses on corporate and personal publicity. The underlying case arises from the duplicitous conduct of one of Jones's former employees, defendant Jennifer Abel, who, along with crisis manager fixer defendant Melissa Nathan and defendants Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, LLC, and additional presently unknown individuals, secretly conspired for months to publicly and privately attack Jones and JonesWorks, defame both, breach multiple contracts, and steal clients and business prospects. Now, I know you're not coming after Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios saying that they conspired against you for months. That's nuts. Because they actually were going to you for all the help until you kept breaking the truce. Baldoni produced, directed, and co-starred in the film It Ends With Us. In connection with the film's release, Baldoni feared that the allegations of misogynistic and toxic behavior on set could become public and damage his reputation and career. I thought that was rather interesting because she didn't say sexual harassment claims. She didn't say sexual misconduct claims. She said allegations of misogynistic and toxic behavior. Which makes me think that Stephanie motherfucking Jones knew that Justin Baldoni did not sexually harass Blake Lively. Because why wouldn't she put it in here? Abel then brought on defendant Nathan, a well-known crisis fixer, against the express instructions of Jones. Abel and Nathan, with Heath's encouragement, it's supposed to be Heath, but Abel and Nathan, with Heath's encouragement, worked to shut Jones out of the process and hide their strategy from her, despite Abel still working under the auspices of Jones' works. Abel and Nathan schemed to bury and destroy Baldoni's co-star Blake Lively in order to protect Baldoni. This was concealed from Jones and far outside the scope of Abel's employment. Simultaneously, Abel and Nathan worked to harm Jones's reputation, steal her clients, and enrich themselves in preparation for Abel's planned departure from Jones' works. While working to protect Baldoni, despite privately holding him in very low regard, Abel and Nathan sought to plant negative stories about Jones and Jones' works. Abel and Nathan coordinated with Business Insider reporter Katie Warren, resulting in an August 2024 article titled "Who's Afraid of Stephanie Jones?" Abel and Nathan privately celebrated the publication of the article, which they referred to as a kill story. Once Jones became aware of Abel's theft of company documents in August of 2024, Abel was terminated. However, at that point, Abel had already stolen proprietary and sensitive business documents and client leads from Jones' works. What's interesting is Abel had already gave her notice. Okay, and I think it was like her second last day. And now Stephanie Jones is saying like, no, I fired her. She was terminated. What? And where's the proof? We still haven't seen a shred of evidence from Stephanie Jones that Jen Abel stole any information or any sensitive business documents yet. Now, as I get into this, I'm going to go on a limb here and say I don't know if Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan are such angels, okay? I don't know about that because, yes, I did see the text messages where they insult and belittle Justin in a way. Not even in a way. They do say some mean things about him. However, there is still no proof about what Stephanie Jones is saying against Jennifer Abel. She hasn't provided any kind of documentation or any kind of evidence in anything that she submitted so far in any of the courts to prove that Jennifer Abel did, in fact, steal proprietary and sensitive business documents. In addition to the Business Insider article, Jones discovered numerous social media accounts devoted to defaming her and boosting the defamatory Stephanie Jones Leaks websites. Basically, all they asked for was basic user information regarding the Facebook account, the Stephanie Jones Leaks, and that the counsel for Meta served objections. The counsel for Jones and Meta did meet and confer, and Meta indicated that it would stand on its refusal to respond. And now they're doing the same thing. Like Pinterest pretty much said the exact same thing. But let's just see exactly what she is requesting. She wants all communications and documents between Pinterest and the owner of the account, Stephanie Jones Leaks, including but not limited to any principal, agent, or employee of the owner or the account. She wants the agreement entered into between Pinterest and the owner of the account. All subscriber information for the account, including but not limited to names, addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses provided during registration process, any identification documents, verification materials, or correspondence submitted in connection with the account's registration or verification, and any documents reflecting change to the account registration details over time. Then they did say that they were trying to have meet and confers as well with Miss Case and Miss Coslow, but during the calls, the non-parties would not confirm nor would they deny if Case and Coslow's actually did create the accounts at issue. And something I did find very interesting here is when it says Finally, of relevance here, the Stored Communications Act, the SCA, permits service providers to disclose subscriber information. So I think this is very interesting for multiple reasons, including all of the subpoenas that content creators have been getting from Miss Snake Lively. So I think that was just very interesting that it does, in the Stored Communication Act, permit service providers to disclose subscriber information. Provider described in subsection A may divulge a record or other information pertaining to a subscriber to or customers of such service to any person other than a governmental entity. The limited information sought from respondent is obviously relevant to the petitioner's claims in the underlying New York litigation and is not sought for any improper or harassing purpose. Accordingly, petitioner's motion should be granted. Petitioners are the victims of a multi-pronged smear campaign orchestrated at least in part by a former employee, a former client, a competitor, and the other defendants. So she's literally saying a former client, Wayfarer, is part of the smear campaign against Jones Works. That is absolutely bananas, bonkers, insane. Now, in other of the documents, because this has been going on for a while, they've been going back and forth between Meta. And like I said, the latest thing to be filed was a month ago. In all of the other filings too, she does make points. I've written some notes here that she's claiming that social media account data like emails, IPs, and account details isn't protected speech, that courts have said revealing basic identifying information doesn't violate free speech rights, and defamation isn't shielded by the First Amendment. She also used a line that Blake Lively used in hers, that her right to discover the truth, it outweighs the First Amendment right of the users. It's like literally right there. I thought that was kind of interesting that they're both using the exact same argument. So Meta and Pinterest are arguing that Jones is a limited purpose public figure because she works in PR and was tied to the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni dispute, that she's a public figure. So the smear, so it is what it is, girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, you're a public figure. That's why it's not like defamation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Stephanie motherfucking Jones replied saying that the smear account started in May of 2024, months before the Lively lawsuit went public. So that's interesting, because then, like, why would Wayfarer spend months, like, smearing you and you don't, oh my gosh. Anyway, that she didn't inject herself into the controversy. She was pulled into it. So for Stephanie Jones to say, I thought that was kind of weird that she said that she didn't inject herself into the controversy. She was pulled into it. Bitch, we're here because of you. Because you gave over all of Jen Abel's communications. Because you were in cahoots with Blake Lively and Leslie Sloan. Don't play me now. Come on. So I thought that was very interesting that she's crying victim. Like, I was just pulled into this. I'm an innocent victim. I'm a victim. What exactly was so bad about this Business Insider that wrote the article of Who's Afraid of Stephanie Jones? Well, let's take a look. Really, how bad can it be? Stephanie Jones did have a lot of power for clients like Tom Brady, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Venus Williams, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos' fiance Lauren Chances. Well, I guess now his wife. That woman, a petite blonde. Jones gives off a frenetic energy, joking to her employees about how she barely sleeps and lives off coffee, Adderall, and a dream, one former mid-level employee said. The article goes on to say, but despite her honeyed Southern twang, which becomes more pronounced the more passionate she gets, the 49-year-old can quickly turn combative, multiple people said. Former staff recalled in-office dressing downs that got so loud that Jones would ask her assistant to turn up the music to cover up the yelling. She FaceTimed one employee who had called out sick and accused her of lying. Turns out Jones was right. Threats to journalists were not uncommon. Pissed off Jones, and she'd cut off all access to her biggest clients. Even her clients' own teams weren't spared. Once she emailed an A-lister's business partner that he was sloppy and sent him a clown emoji. She even had people like publicists and journalists, including a journalist named Matthew Baloney, who referred to Jones as an erratic screamer. And in 2023 and 2024, she lost a lot of clients, including that girl Sanchez, as well as The Rock, and a lot of other people. Like, there's tons of people that left her around this time. When the websites first started popping up, like the Facebook and all of that stuff first started popping off, a representative for Jones' work said they believed the anonymous poster was a disgruntled ex-employee, and said if the former employee who created this fiction had put this much effort and creative storytelling into his or her own work, he or she probably wouldn't have been fired. When the Business Insider article was reporting on all of the websites and Stephanie Jones leaks and all of that stuff, they said that almost every single person, nearly every person that they interviewed, whether it was a former employee or a current employee or even former publicists or anything, that every single person, nearly almost every single person that they interviewed, said that they would only do the interview under the condition of anonymity. Many because they were utterly frightened of her. One person was suspicious that Jones had hired people to pose as reporters to find out who would talk negatively about her. One of the stories in this article, it talks about how Stephanie Jones would sometimes like be super extravagant with her staff and like come in with like Birkin bags or like Louis Vuittons, but then the very next day, like literally all hell would break loose and like you never knew what you were going to get to her. And they talk about this one time that they were at this party, and because of Stephanie Jones's actions, she had the entire team thrown out of this bar. So allegedly in early December of 2023, they were at the Royal Palm Shuffleboard Club, and it was like an annual holiday party, and there was a DJ playing, and it was around 10 or 11 p.m., and Stephanie motherfucking Jones needed to hear 1-2 Step by Sierra. She just needed to hear that song, 1-2 Step by Sierra, because Sierra is married to one of Jones's NFL quarterbacks named Russell Wilson. So the DJ told Stephanie Jones that, like, don't worry about it, like, I'll try to play the song a bit later. And Jones allegedly started like berating the DJ and like pulling out her phone and videotaping them, and took their phone out and was like, oh, what, so you're a racist? You're a racist because you won't play Sierra? That's crazy. And the people say that the DJ was like super cool, super calm, super collected, and that, yeah, she was just like going off recording them. And the DJ was actually a woman of color who had never like experienced such treatment in her career. The DJ said like it was very triggering. I was telling her to leave me alone and she wouldn't. Shortly after the incident, the bar's manager asked Jones and her employees to leave, but the experience stuck with the DJ. Of course it did. Oh my gosh. The DJ said, I wouldn't put it past her if she hired you to try to get my number just so she can harass me even more. Dang. Now, there is a lot of people saying that what Stephanie Jones used to do with her staff was absolutely traumatizing. Whenever she would be like really angry or wanting to like scream at them or berate them, she would get people to play music in the office super, super loud, like at extremely loud volume, so that she could scream at her employees through the glass-walled office, but everyone knew what was happening. And one of the employees said, I don't think there was one day in the office that someone wasn't crying. And another employee said, I cried in the bathroom every single day. Even before Facebook and Pinterest and the Business Insider article and stuff in February, actually, of 2024, there was current staff and former staff that all received this like anonymous text message urging everyone to band together and sue Stephanie Jones for her treatment, to contact a lawyer and at large an employer protection law firm, and to stay quiet about it. But no one really knew like where it was coming from, or you know, they just said that was kind of like a crazy text to get. And she would do a lot of crazy shit. I mean, she was a horrible boss. She is a horrible boss. Like one time one of her employees, a woman, called in sick. She called in sick, and Stephanie Jones would just like randomly FaceTime her employees. So this employee at this time called in sick to go to a job interview, and Stephanie Jones texted her asking her how she was feeling. And then all of us, she said, "Oh, I'm okay. I've just been sleeping all day, like not doing so good." And Stephanie Jones started FaceTiming her, but of course she was like ignoring the FaceTime. And then when she was able to, she like wiped all of her makeup, and Stephanie was like, call me back right now. You need to FaceTime me." And so she did, like she wiped off all of her makeup and stuff and like pulled the FaceTime. And Stephanie was like, "You're wearing mascara. You're lying to me." And I guess got like super angry because she was wearing mascara. And then that person, was like, "I'm out. I'm giving you like 2 weeks notice." There was another time where a guy had to take time off, or an employee, it says he, but so it must be a guy, took time off to go to a funeral, and she was FaceTiming him to make sure that he was actually at the funeral. There's some quotes from employees here that say it was like a never-ending fear of what was going to be in your inbox, what kind of voice note she'd send you. There was so many people that I was kind of like in the trenches with, almost waiting to see who can get out first. Then when Dwayne The Rock Johnson left in April of 2023, that was because his team and the Jones team, there was like tons and tons and tons of tension. And they're saying that that was a huge, huge blow to her, because he also took his production company, Seven Becks Productions, and his tequila brand with him. That's a big, big, big loss. Of course, as well as, Chris Hemsworth left, Lainey Wilson left, who else? Jeff Bezos left. So many people were leaving in 2023 and 2024. I suppose even they interviewed like former clients of Stephanie Jones, saying, one of them quoted, "She's yelling at me. She yelled at the people who worked for me. She would yell at my husband. I felt like I was being abused by my own PR rep." Another one said that, her fees were exceptionally high at around $10,000 a month, but the client couldn't handle the drama of working with Jones. She said she's effective, but she's a nightmare. She's even gone after like journalists and publishers who have called her about her clients when she doesn't like the story, or they don't want him to publish it. Like this one guy, Matthew Baloney, who was doing a story on that Sanchez woman, Jeff Bezos' wife, and Stephanie Jones did not want to comment, and he was kind of confused because he was like, "Yo, I treated her pretty good. Like, I don't understand like why she wouldn't want to comment on this story, but like it is what it is." That the next day, another news outlet, Page 6, wrote a story citing that this reporter was sexist. And he couldn't believe that this story came out, and he believes that it came from Jones, that it was her lashing out at him because of coverage unfavorable to her client. Here are just a couple of reviews, I guess, from working there from people. Like 1 star, stay away. It says, "The pros, I worked with some of the nicest, brightest PR minds in the industry as colleagues. They were kind and understanding and helpful in such a cutthroat company." But then the cons was Jones Works is one of the most toxic work environments in the industry. While Steph has built this company from the ground, she has built an atmosphere that led to high turnover, backstabbing from management, and public embarrassment. There were multiple times where she would publicly berate and fire employees in front of the entire group of what felt like a whim. It's Steph's way or the highway, and if she didn't like something, she would certainly make it known and make you feel like such a piece of shit for it. She once threatened an employee who found a new job by telling this person she would ruin her career if she ever left Jones Works. I hope in the time since I've left it's gotten better, but I doubt that as long as Steph is involved on a day-to-day basis. She kind of just seems like an awful person, Just a horrible boss. This one says, run in the opposite direction. Cons of working there: founder and upper management engaged in constant micromanagement, verbal abuse, and manipulative behavior. Then the next one says, if you want to be miserable, apply now. Work-life balance does not exist. Very, very long hours, and although unlimited PTO, you're always working, always on, and get little recognition for working such long hours. Dictator, abusive type leadership, senior management is on a power trip. Very, very, very high turnover. The other one says, you're treated like trash and are talked down to. These are all coming from reviews from working there. Incredibly toxic work environment. I had depression the entire time I worked here. The other one says, stay far away. Jones Works is a high school with immature mean girls. The CEO is horrible and her toxic leadership has led some other staff members, something. This one says, Stephanie Jones, CEO and founder, is a controlling, toxic presence and abuser, and I would neither recommend perspective. So yeah, we get the point, right? We get the point. She's a little cray-cray delulu, crazy. What do you think? Do you think that Stephanie Jones is just a victim? Is she just a victim of a smear campaign for no reason? Did she actually drive a lot of her former staff to turn against her and create these kinds of websites to share their story and use their voice about the trauma and the absolute abuse they went to? I think, in my personal opinion, that she is a toxic, horrible boss that treats people however she wants to. And usually that is not good. I've dealt with a lot of toxic leaders and bosses before, lots of women, and it's awful. It's awful when you have to deal with a boss like this, and I think that she was completely abusive, and I think it's ridiculous that she's trying to blame Wayfarer for coordinating a smear campaign against her for months. What are we talking about? Because what we do know is we do know Vanzan, and we do know, as much as her and Blake Lively want to put in all of their complaints how legal the subpoena was, it was not. Let's pull it up. The subpoena was served from Manhunter, Phelps and Phillips, Blake Lively's law firm, to Stephanie motherfucking Jones on September 27th. Now, it does say does 1 through 10, which we know, inclusive, but what I keep going back to is what they were asking Stephanie Jones for, because she didn't have to give them nothing. This is what it says. Just a little reminder, guys. Plaintiff Vanzan Inc. by and through its attorneys, Manhunter, Phelps, and Phillips, for its complaint against the unnamed does 1 through 10. Let's just break this down, okay? First of all, Vanzan had nothing to do with Justin Baldoni. Vanzan had nothing to do with Wayfarer, Stephanie Jones, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, anybody. Vanzan had nothing to do with Stephanie motherfucking Jones. So already scratch that. Already, why are you using your husband's inactive shell company? Okay, number one. Number two, what they were asking for is this action arises out of an ongoing campaign to damage plaintiff's business and plaintiff's reputation. Upon information and belief, the Doe defendants have certain contractual and confidential obligations and obligations of good faith and loyalty to plaintiff regarding plaintiff's business and reputation by way of oral promises and or written agreements. But the defendant is the plaintiff is Vanzan. It doesn't make any sense. And if you knew that those people, whoever you're attacking, whoever you're asking for, is ruining your reputation, then why are you using John Doe's 1 through 10? Every time I look at this thing, I just get so mad, because what are you doing? This is such a fake, sham subpoena based on a fake lawsuit. And why wasn't this served to the actual Wayfarer Studios? If Blake Lively said that the Wayfarer Studios were smearing her and they continue to smear her, then why didn't she serve Wayfarer Studios John Doe's 1 through 10? No. They hid behind this. It's disgusting. I get so mad when I see this. Despite these obligations, the Doe defendants have undertaken direct efforts to contravene these agreements and instead have participated and may continue to participate in efforts to harm plaintiff, including by failing to act in plaintiff's best interest, taking actions to their personal benefit at plaintiff's expense, failing to freely communicate with plaintiff regarding matters that impact plaintiff's business and reputation, and disclosing to third parties, and failing to keep strictly confidential plaintiff's confidential and or private information. But you're okay to give over their private information, Stephanie Jones? You're okay for that? You didn't have a contract with Vanzan. It's insane. This isn't Blake Lively Limited. Do you know what I mean? It's just so gross. This conduct constitutes breach of agreement and obligations owed by the DOE defendants to plaintiff and has caused significant reputational economic damages to plaintiff. Whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this whole thing started as a big fat lie and an abuse to the courts. Y'all are shady. Y'all are shady. What's even more shady is Clock the lawyer, Samantha J. Katz, because she is no longer a lawyer for Blake Lively. They only used this Samantha as a scapegoat to file this lawsuit and this fake subpoena to Jones Works. And now let's not forget when Blake Lively and everybody else and their mother on the opposing side, on Blake Lively's side, tried to fight producing documents about Vanzan, tried to fight it so hard. It was absolutely insane. And Vanzan has their own law firm, right? Their law firm is not Ezra Hudson and Michael Gottlieb from Manat, Phillips, and Phelps. They even say here, we note that this firm does not represent Vanzan for the purpose of the Vanzan subpoena. No, you don't represent Vanzan at all. So why did you guys file the subpoena under Vanzan to serve to Stephanie Jones? Again, shady, make it make sense. Well, what do we know? We know for sure that she handed over Jennifer Abel's private communications and professional communications. I mean, all of her communications. We know for sure that Blake Lively then went and used those communications to do things like this, completely exclude and cherry pick text messages to form some form of narrative to try to prove a smear campaign, which still can't be proven, still can't prove sexual harassment either, which is, I think, one of the most important things. What we were told from the Wayfarer parties with actual receipts is that Leslie Sloan and Melissa Nathan reached an agreement whereby nobody would communicate directly with a reporter because, as you know, the Wayfarer people were under attack by actual mainstream media, by publishing companies, by reporters. Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni were under attack, even though content creators were still, not smearing Blake, but asking a lot of freaking questions, about her marketing campaign, everything that she's doing. On the other side of content creators, there were so many attacks and headlines coming out poorly about Justin Baldoni. So collectively, all PR people decided nobody ever talk to media. We're going to say a truce. Well, it wasn't until 9 minutes later that Blake Lively's publicist, Ms. Leslie Sloan, breached the agreement. And just so we're all clear, just so we're all clear, they only said that she breached it with the Daily Mail reporter. They never put James's name in here, even though it's the exact same text messages. Yeah, they didn't put him in here, okay? It was Blake and Leslie Sloan that did. Among other horrible treatment that she did to Jennifer Abel, brutal treatment that she did to Jennifer Abel, some of the things that she did was absolutely horrible. Not just like the FaceTiming her all the time, screaming at her in front of other staff, degrading her, but she went around the office and told people that Jennifer Abel was an alcoholic and a gambling addict, which neither of those things were based in any truth or in any fact, but that's just what she heard from her psychic. Okay, so it wasn't just like deranged outburst. Allegedly, what she did to Jennifer Abel was even worse. Even worse than that, from her psychic, she heard that Jennifer Abel was pregnant. Yeah, she was going to be a mom with twins and ran around the office and told everyone that Jennifer Abel was expecting, even though she knew that Jen Abel had fertility issues and or was struggling to have a baby. And she knew that and still went around and announced from her psychic that she was pregnant with twins. That's disgusting. Allegedly, what really caused the break between Jennifer Abel and Stephanie Jones was when another senior staff from the Jones office, another employee from the Jones office, she wanted to drive him out, and she wanted Jennifer Abel to refuse to go along with it and falsify these accusations about this senior representative so that Stephanie motherfucking Jones could drive him out. And when Jen Abel refused to go along with those accusations that were false. Now we're talking about more false allegations here. Allegedly, when she said no, that's what really started like the feud between them. And Stephanie Jones called her a 12-year-old drama queen because she didn't want to accuse someone falsely. Ugh. And now we all know the story of how Jennifer Abel was exited out of Jones Works. And if you do, I'm going to tell you, okay? It was 2 days actually before her last day. So she had already given like 3 to 4 weeks notice. Obviously, Stephanie motherfucking Jones didn't take that very well, okay? She did not. She became very erratic. It was really crazy to work with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 2 days before it was Jennifer Abel's last day, Jennifer Abel, who had this phone number already since she was a teenager, had already asked like the chief of staff if she could like have her phone number transferred. They were all working on it. Everything was Gucci for her to leave with her phone number, okay? Then 2 days before she was going to go, she walked into work and Stephanie Jones greeted her with some lawyers, some IT guy, and this like chief of staff dude who flew in, and they sat her in an office and they interrogated her, and they went through her laptop, they went through her phone, they went through everything. At that time, Jennifer Abel said that they didn't find anything, and the IT was like, there's nothing here. And then they made her sign a whole bunch of papers that she signed, and she said that she didn't read it because she was so embarrassed and under so much distress. And then they took her phone and said that they would give it back to her and release her phone number, but that she can't leave the property with work property, right? And they escorted her out, and then completely like ghosted and blocked her and like wouldn't release her phone number for the longest time. And Jennifer Abel claims that they were able to and were like watching her on her like iCloud through the process all the way up until January of 2025. Now this is the summer of 2024. Jennifer Abel even had to like write this text message to Steph and like beg her, like she's literally begging her, like, I've been nothing but good to you, both of you, but this is just mean and egregious, and I'm begging you to please release my phone number before I travel tomorrow. Please, you have no use for a something number. That has been my personal number before you took over the building. Please, it takes one phone call, please. Jennifer Abel wasn't able to retrieve her phone number for over a month, okay? But then she also found out that during that time, Stephanie motherfucking Jones was going around the office and sharing and disparaging and mocking everything that was on Jennifer Abel's phone to the rest of the staff. Can you even imagine? So when this was happening between Jones and Abel, this was in the midst of the Wayfarer lively, it ends with us, horrible maximum effort PR, This was like, you're in the eye of the tornado, okay? And then what happens? Jones is already going crazy because now Jones Works Leaks is out, Jones Works Lies, all these websites, Pinterest, all of her top clients are leaving her, Business Insider is coming out. I mean, it's not looking good. Jen Abel out of there. Wayfarer asked that Jen Abel remain as the key point because they're going through a crisis, and she's the only one that they've spoken to ever in like the 4 years that they've been with Stephanie Jones or with Jones Works. Then Jen Abel wants to get Melissa Nathan. Stephanie Jones don't like that. She doesn't like Melissa Nathan. She hates Melissa Nathan, I'd say. Loathes her. Okay? Does not like that, and made that very clear to the Wayfarer people. The Wayfarer people said, hey, we respect your opinion, but we're in a crisis here, so you know what? We're going to meet with her, and if we like her, we're going to decide. Then Jones texts them and says this is the kind of mess Melissa Nathan, crisis PR, lies and cleans up, lies, dirty work. I also don't want Blake's team to align you with these people like this Melissa works with. It's not a really good text, but I guess she's saying she doesn't want Blake's people to find out that you're working with Melissa Nathan, and I don't like her because she's lying and she's dirty and no. So even though Miss Stephanie motherfucking Jones never worked for Wayfarer on any of their account, as soon as they found out that Melissa Nathan was coming in and Jen Abel was out of there and they still wanted them on the account, Stephanie Jones had to come in and what? Save the day. And how did she save the day? Through her hero complex? Well, even though they had a truce going on between the Wayfarer people and the Lively people, even though Leslie Sloan broke the truce, Blake Lively's PR, Wayfarer people didn't know this yet, but then you know who went and also broke the truce? Yeah, Stephanie Jones. She was told not to say anything. She was not told not to do anything, to completely back down, to step down. But then what does she do? She does. She goes and talks to reporters on behalf of Wayfarer, and she emails Wayfarer Studios and Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni and writes left word for blank. She's been very nice in the past, so we will get this fixed. What? Then they receive another email from a reporter, I believe, at the Daily Mail, just saying like, hey, there's a lot of speculation online. The content creators are going crazy that Justin and Blake never posed for each other in pictures. And then Stephanie Jones says, they've been very nice and fixed things for us in the past. I can give her a call. This is a nothing burger. And then Jennifer Abel writes, team, please ignore this. So, of course, now there's sources coming out from the Wayfarer people about all these stories, and who's giving it to them? Well, allegedly it was Stephanie Jones. So this gets back to Sony. Sony's obviously peed off. Sony reaches out to Wayfarer and is like, what's going on? What are you guys doing? They reach out to Stephanie Jones and they're like, yo, we told you not to say nothing. Don't say nothing ever again. Stop it. Well, that didn't make Stephanie Jones too happy. So she panicked about being blamed, and she needed to save the day again and save herself. So she insisted that she needed to contact Sony. She needed to contact Leslie Sloan. She needed to contact Blake Lively's, all of Blake Lively's PR. And she needed to really make sure that they knew that she wasn't planting any negative stories about Blake Lively. Interesting. So Jamie Heath told her not to do that, to which Stephanie motherfucking Jones responded, I can do whatever I want. And then she did. She went and she emailed a number of Sony key executives. She went and emailed Lively, Sony, a bunch of people declaring that she was in Europe with her husband and she had nothing to do with this and placing all the blame on her team. What a great leader. So then after that, of course, the Wayfarer people were like, yo, we're done with you, girl. This is not how we do things. This is not how we're going to do it. So then what happens? Even August 14th, okay? August 14th, a week after the premiere, damn near, Stephanie Jones is not getting it. She's not clocking it, okay? She's not clocking that they don't want her to do nothing. She sends an email saying, I sent you email with what I think strategy should be, as Justin is not being represented in these stories. We have to fight for every story. I also attached my phone record so you can see I did not call Daily Mail or make calls to any media. Tara, I swear with my hand to God, I have never leaked anything to any outlet, and I think you know this. I just want to help Justin and Wayfarer. Interesting that she was advocating for an aggressive public relations strategy. With your hand to God, all you want to do is help Wayfarer and Justin. So how do you help them? You give them all their communications to Blake Lively? Give me a break. And, well, it goes on, what she wanted to do was the exact same thing here. She wanted to flood the zone with positives, which is what they did, positive for Justin Baldoni. And she said to prepare alternate stories. We should mobilize a robust network of supporters and third-party advocates ready to counter these narratives on deep backgrounds, with some on the record, making it clear that the claims being made are untrue and unfounded. But at this point, there wasn't really any claims except like the fat shaming and the kiss lingering. But anyway, they did not like that. And they told her like there are emails and texts from Jamie Heath saying like, no, please stop. We are not doing this anymore. Like this one from Jamie Heath, which was on August 14th, saying we are fully aware of all of this and we are handling it. As a reminder to my previous instructions, please do not respond, contact, or do anything as it pertains to Justin or Wayfarer. We have the team that we are comfortable with to handle this, and you may have thoughts and ideas. I am reiterating to stand down. Thank you. Well, she didn't like this, okay? And she snapped, because immediately after this, she doubled down in an email on August 21st, threatening Wayfarer and Baldoni that they had an exclusive contract with her through 2025, the May of 2025. What's crazy, Stephanie Jones, is because on the same day that you sent a threatening email to Wayfarer, clock it, August 21st, 2024, the same day you sent that crazy email to them threatening that they had to stay with you through May of 2025, the same day, just hours after Jen Abel's phone was seized, Leslie Sloan called Melissa Nathan, and in that call told Melissa Nathan that Sloan had seen Nathan's text messages and that she should expect to be sued. That's Stephanie motherfucking Jones for you. With her hand to God, she says she just wants to help Justin and Wayfarer. And then 1 week later, gives all of the text messages and emails to the ops, to the opposing counsel, to Blake Lively and Leslie Sloan. This text was on August 14th, and on August 21st, she completely turned her back on them. That's who Stephanie Jones is. She's not a victim. She's not someone who, oh my gosh, there's all these websites and they all just hated her because she was a boss babe. No, she was vicious and is vicious and was mean and a tyrant and a horrible boss. Of course, alleged in my opinion. And I think the people that she managed, including Jennifer Abel, learned from her and was taught from her. But we are here today in the courts of It Ends With Never because of Stephanie motherfucking Jones and Leslie Sloan, but specifically Stephanie Jones complying to an illegal fake subpoena through Vanzan. And now don't forget, y'all, on September 27th, it is Vanzan Day. Because how can you, with your full chest on August 14th, 2024, say with your hand to God, all you want to do is protect Justin and Wayfarer, and then 1 week later, take all of their private communications, all of their emails and everything and turn it over to their ops. Turn it over to Blake Lively. Through a subpoena you didn't have to even comply with. That's who Stephanie Jones is, and we are here today because of her. So is it sad that, yeah, there was websites created that ex-employees all band together to go after her, to speak their truth? I think that what they were looking for was a platform in order to shed light on some of the darkness that is going on. I think that she was a horrible, horrible boss and abused a lot of people, and the abuse is still not stopping. I think that she is going to be able to get this metadata, and we'll see from there. We'll see who created the website. But I just wanted to shed some light on Stephanie motherfucking Jones today because we are only here again. We are only here because of her. This was all done because she worked with the devil. She worked with the enemy. She worked with the ops. She was a scorned woman, pissed off that Wayfarer was going for her underling, Jennifer Abel, the girl that already left her company. They were pissed that they were choosing her and Melissa Nathan over Stephanie Jones. She was mad, she wanted revenge, and she was willing to do whatever it took to get it, because that's what she did to all of her ex-employees, ex-clients, ex-publicists, and any journalist that would try to go up against her. She would plant stories. She would dox their information on the internet. She would leak private things about them. It's sick. And you need to take some accountability and responsibility, because here, the inframers, we're not going to stop saying Vanzan until we get some answers. Stephanie motherfucking Jones.